Good morning, friends. This is Mr. Hen, or Josh Hendry with Mr. Hen's Art Skills, and we are working daily on our skill set to prepare for Graphic Novel Pro for the School of Visual Storytelling's class. This is a worksheet that I have used in various forms. This is kind of the newest iteration of it, but it basically takes Joseph Campbell and Christopher Vogler's work of the hero's journey or the writer's journey and breaks it into its 12 stages, going 1, 2, 3, 4, then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, with little icons to indicate the archetypes that typically might be introduced or be highlighted at those different stages. And I've done multiple different pages that are in different orders and different ways just to see. One of the more interesting ways that I've done this actually is 6 stages down and then 7 through 12 back up to see how the first stage mirrors the last stage, the second stage, obviously the 11th stage, and so on and so forth, all the way down, which is also an interesting exercise. So this is actually a new way for me to think about it, considering like the ordinary world is the introduction to the hero, the call to adventure, it presents the herald. The refusal of the call tends to be a threshold guardian, something that is stopping the hero from moving forward. Meeting with the mentor, obviously the mentor would be introduced in that stage. Crossing the threshold, when they choose to do that, typically they're given a talisman of some sort. So that's really interesting to think about that. And then in your tests, your allies and enemies are revealed. As you approach the inmost cave, not always, but sometimes, you have a shapeshifter. I think this is really unique, especially as it relates to the biblical narrative with Judas. I think that this is a really important part. I don't know if this is where everybody would put that character reveal in there, but it seems to make sense to me. The ordeal is obviously the shadow. This is where the hero takes on the deepest, darkest baddie. Seizing the sword, obviously the sword, but what's unique about seizing the sword is that it can relate directly to the talisman. That's something that the mentor shared in this time of refusal, and something to do with the talisman also is connected to the sword. So thinking about these and having these little icons here begins to allow me to visually associate certain things and connections, and just helps me better relate. If it's just the numbers, I don't relate as well. The pictures help. So then the road back is the shadow is reintroduced or reappears, and the road back is an interesting stage for me because the hero is supposed to be back in the ordinary world and kind of retested again, like they were in the call to adventure. And whatever they refused to do at the beginning somehow is now related to the road back and the resurrection. So whatever they refused to do at the beginning, now at the resurrection they're willing to do in the ordinary world. And I think that this is a unique part for possibly the trickster, and the trickster is just the comic relief. But I'm not sure, because sometimes comic relief can be really helpful in other areas, but that's just kind of, I think the comic relief too is kind of a follow along friend is how I picture them. Almost like Dory and Finding Nemo, somebody who's there and kind of has the right heart. I think of them in that way. They have hopefully the right heart. Although in Lion King, you had a couple of the tricksters where the, that were with his evil uncle. I can't remember their names, but the hyenas, I think of them as tricksters. They were kind of goofballs. But then you also have like the comic relief of Simba's two friends that sing Hakuna Matata. So I don't know. Maybe the tricksters are kind of peppered throughout on both the good side and the bad side, so to speak. And then the elixir, return with the elixir. And this, I like how this icon has the heart on here, and I like how the little Superman emblem or whatever right there on the chest. It's kind of like there's this perfect fitting connection between what the hero was missing at the beginning and what they have now. Almost like whatever was missing in their heart has now become a part of them, and they have that to teach. And for me personally, this means a lot because I lost a dear friend of mine years ago, and he and I had just a great bond, and he passed away too soon. But when I was meeting with a grief counselor, who I knew and loved, he said something really important to me. He said, he will now become a part of you. So all the things that I loved and respected and cherished about him, it was almost like those were now my things to find how to carry on, so that the world didn't have to do without the things that I cherished most, you know. And here I was, I loved his adventurous spirit. I loved his willingness to tackle a challenge. I loved his kind of denial of self, so to speak, when it came to meet and greets and being around people. He was an introvert, but most people would never know that about him. And it was because he made a conscious decision to meet the needs of the people around him. And so he wasn't trying to do it to puff himself up or make himself more important. He was really doing it out of an effort to make sure that people were taken care of. And so it was just had a profound effect on my life. But what I realized is, because I loved those things so much, and they were really pointing me to a higher kind of calling, then now it was somehow incumbent upon me to carry that legacy forward in my own way of doing it. And my grief counselor said, he will even start to come out in your artwork. And I couldn't help but remember an Instagram post after I produced my first comic, The Legend of Hairpan. I have a copy somewhere sitting around here. But after I produced it, he took a picture of himself in, or not of himself, but he was there at Starbucks, and he had this, and he always loved to go to coffee shops to just open the Bible and study the Bible. And but he had this comic right there, and he says, I cannot wait for the next one. Well, I never produced the next one. And so now, this is what I'm doing. I'm producing it. And if I hadn't talked to you about it today, I'm not 100% sure I would have related how these things come into my story. It will be interesting to see. But I know that everybody's going through something. Nobody gets out of this life without being tested, and the hero's journey is a testament to how that infuses our stories with meaning and heart and good things that people need to hear. A lot of times people are afraid to tell their story. I know I get that way because I'm afraid people will be critical of it, or I'll think it's not that good, or it's not. But I'm not writing my story for every single person on the face of the planet, which is the other thing that is really important. Really, the reason why I would write my story in a healthier way to think about writing a story is not so that every single person in the world will love it, but so that the people who need to hear the message will have it available to them. That's really what's most valuable. Because there may be some people who hate my story, or maybe they don't even care about it, right? It doesn't even matter to them that it exists. And for me to learn how to be okay with that, it will be part of this journey. I'm pretty sure of it, because I want my artwork to be beautiful. I want my writing to be excellent. I want everything to be as good as I can possibly make it. And if I want all of those things, I obviously want people to recognize that and be like, yeah, that looks good. That's great. Wow, that's a great story. But that's just not, it's not really realistic. So, yeah, but this is what I use. If this is something of interest to you, the whole reason why I started talking about that is, let me know in the comments, and I can make that available to you. These are icons that I just grabbed off the internet, so I use them just as a tool, not as a means to make money or anything like that. So if this is one of your icons and you don't, you designed it and you want me to stop, putting this out there, please let me know. I'm not charging for this. It's just a tool for folks to use. But yeah. Okay, I've been working on bikes since my man Caden rides bikes quite a bit. So yeah, that was one sketch from yesterday. I did multiple sketches. I have a picture up on Pinterest right now. So yeah. This guy reminds me very much of the pose, and it might be a female. It's hard to tell because they have a helmet on and sweatshirt and sweatpants and stuff, so it's a little bit hard to tell if it's a guy or a girl. It doesn't really matter. The pose is very nice, so that's what we're gonna start with here, and I'm just gonna kind of fill this in. This is a little bit of a scratchy go of it, and I'm not sure that this is the best way to approach this, but we'll see. Again, one of the reasons why I'm doing this is to understand human anatomy a little bit better and how it interacts with the form and the geometry of a bicycle. Now, okay, there's a little tilt to that. Okay, knee. So, yeah. So interesting. Okay. So, geometry of the bike. Super iconic, easy to recognize, and also easy to mess up. Now this is really cool photograph that I'm working from because the front tire is really starting to come towards the camera a little bit, so there's just a slight distortion. The bottom of the tire looks slightly bigger than the top of the tire, which is really interesting because it's a cylinder, and this portion we know is starting to go away from it. So if that's the midpoint of the tire, we know everything here is starting to move away from the viewer, but still on the camera angle it looks like there's some foreshortening happening. It looks like it's continuing to get bigger, which really forces the idea that this tire is really right there in your face. Ha! All right. Now, this is one of the reasons why I do this. Super helpful. What I realized with this foot down on the ground, in case you can't tell, this is a straight leg back here, something like this. There's a slight bend to it, but not much. It's not really a bend. It's because the knee is protruding. It makes it look like it's bent, but it's really pretty straight. And the weight has shifted off of the seat, so this leg is in front here. But the foot is slightly behind the back wheel because of where it is in space. Now, if I were just drawing this without photo reference, I can almost guarantee I would have drawn the foot too far down the page. It would have been I would have known that it was behind the tire, but I wouldn't have even thought about the space required for the entire bike and the back tire. So this is how the photograph is helping me understand the spatial relationship, and that's something that probably I will retain on some level now. Just remembering that simple little space relationship. The reason why I say I'll retain it is because it really stood out to me when I recognized it. That lets me know that I learned something. I picked something up, which is fantastic. Okay, now the foot is not on the pedal on that side, but that's where that pedal is, and then this leg is blocking the seat, so you can't even see the seat. That's another thing that's really interesting. Also, my drawing is not tight enough. Oh my goodness, I just noticed something else. I've been putting the center part of this, where the axle meets the wheel, in the center of the ellipse, and that is not where it is. It's actually at the back edge of the ellipse, and the reason why is there's a post here, and it's the middle of the post that actually gets into the ellipse, not the part that we see. So that is another huge anchor point that I can remember. Okay, so this is pretty close. Now, the thing that I liked about the pose here is that the shoulders appear to be back a little bit. So you've got this really, the helmet that they're wearing is like a full helmet with goggles, so you don't see their face. You've got like the wind visor or whatever, the sun visor or whatever that is, shield here, but they appear to be looking up and out into the distance, which is, to me, a very descriptive pose for somebody who is ready for adventure. And that is much the way, that's the spirit that I want Caden to communicate. He's up for it. So one of the unique storytelling things that I've thought about but have never fully embraced, but that I recognize is really valuable, is when the hero is a reluctant hero. They don't want to really go on the journey. And that's more than just a refusal of the call, which is kind of true for everybody. Even people who are up for adventure refuse the call because the call is so much bigger than anything they've ever done before. That's the whole point of what makes it difficult. But no, a reluctant hero is somebody who is a bookworm, but now they're expected to go into the arena and battle. And they go, I'm completely not fit for this. It's not like just some big epic project that I could probably get excited about because I'm a scientist. It's, you're taking me completely 100% out of everything that's familiar to me and asking me to be successful in this new environment. And so that's a reluctant hero. And that's somebody who does not see themselves as an arena. They don't see themselves as a warrior. They don't see themselves as a conqueror, somebody who's going to go out and get it done. They're much more, kind of on the sidelines sort of a personality. And there's probably more dynamic ways to think about that than I even think about it, but that at least maybe gives you a little idea. So, okay. There are things in the background, trees and things like that, but shoulder high is about where you see how that looks so much more victorious when you have a line going through the shoulders, like the shoulders are above water almost, and there's like this straight up, chest held high kind of pose. So it's nice. Alright, so this little foot. Okay, now let's put him in his gear because he's got island gear. So it's going to be a tattered tee. The challenging thing too is it's difficult to find good photographs of kids on their bike, like mountain bikes, and the kind of tricks and things that they're doing are relatively easy to find, but finding BMX bikes is a little bit harder to find. At least when I type BMX bikes in, they don't just automatically pop up. So I'm like changing the fork here a little bit. The fork of the bike is a little bit more, it's just a little different. Also, excuse me, his bike is from the 80s kind of time period. So I'll probably have to work on the stylings of the bike a little bit too. Right now it's enough to kind of get some things worked out. But eventually all those details are going to matter. So I'm curious what kind of projects you might be working on, or what made you stop by or stick around to draw. Are you sitting in your studio drawing? Or are you just watching just to have some background noise? Or if you're at this point in the video, you've been watching for a little bit, I'll just be curious to know what it is that kept you hanging around. Really glad you did. But I feel for me, I'm just really beginning to take the idea that I might be able to do this seriously. And I'm a little embarrassed to say why it has taken me so long. It is, to me, it's a character flaw why it's taken me so long. But when I was in college, this is many moons ago, this is probably back, I graduated in 99, but I'm thinking that this story that I'm about to tell you comes from, I think, around 97. So I'm not even done with my college career yet. I'm basically right in the middle of learning, and I'm taking industrial design, or product design was kind of my focus. And I thought, man, I would love to do comics. I'm gonna just apply to Marvel. I don't know how we got word that Marvel was accepting entries. I'm sure it was an announcement somewhere up on the design, in the design school. It's probably an announcement on one of our announcement boards that Marvel was accepting submissions. And so I got so excited, and they had like a script and everything that they wanted you to illustrate. It was just, they needed, I can't remember how many pages. It wasn't a lot of pages. It might have been like 8 pages or something like that to tell this story. And it was the X-Men, and, had Wolverine was in it, and Professor X, and all of that. So I did it. I filled it. I drew my panels. I did some coloring in Photoshop, and at the time, I think I was relatively proud of my work. I mean, I think I always want it to be better, but as far as submitting to Marvel, I didn't know what I was doing, so I let it fly. And I got a response back just a couple of weeks later from an editor, and at some point I might read it online. But they basically said you need to have a more sober estimate of your abilities. You need to look at some of the work that's out there in the marketplace, and it was a letter that I completely hated. I hated it. I hated hearing it. I hated everything about it. I was just like I felt so shot down and so rejected and so all of this stuff. I just not in the right place to receive feedback, which is really interesting because at design school they were relentlessly and because I knew the people and I knew they were going to be in there with the studio and I knew they were trying to help me, I didn't mind it as bad. I mean, it stung, but there were times when we would laugh at how incredibly pathetic our designs were and how pathetic my designs were. And I was totally fine with it. I would laugh along, I would appreciate the honesty. But then, for some reason, when it came to this person that I didn't know, this person at Marvel, critiquing me, I don't know if I thought they didn't know what they were talking about. I don't know if it just stung so bad that I couldn't hear it. I don't know. It was just, I wasn't ready for that. And so, I hated that letter. But ironically, I never got rid of it. And so, I recently brought it out, like last year, 2025. And I brought it out several years prior to that, and I shared it with my wife. When I shared it with my wife, she goes, "That's some really good feedback. you should listen to that feedback." And I'm like, "Huh." I was like, that never really, even though I knew that was an option, yeah, I could listen to this feedback and I could do something about it. That just was so far from where I was emotionally that I just completely disregarded it. Even though I love my wife, even though she has tons of wisdom, even though she has my best interest at heart, I just was so, I think, just not ready. And that's putting it gently. There's probably other ways to describe that are a little more honest, but let's just say I wasn't ready. And then a good friend of mine who's been in New York, who's been in the industry, doing the stuff, creating graphic novels, digital, like interactive comics, all kinds of different things. He moved back to Greensboro for a time where I live, and so I hadn't seen him since our college days. And he had been in New York doing his thing, and you know, I respect his style. I respect the work that he does, and I think very highly of him. He's a little bit out there. Like sometimes he'll talk to me about story ideas, and I can't even, I get lost because his mind just works in a way that mine doesn't. And he sees things so uniquely. And he just started laughing when he found out that I got a letter back from an editor back when we were in design school together. He said, "Dude, they were asking you to send more stuff." And I'm like, "What? You got that out of it?" He's like, "Dude, if an editor took the time to sit there and not just throw your stuff away, but actually listed out a series of different things you could do to get better and improve, it meant they wanted to see you again." And wow. That one conversation has changed my journey so much, because he is somebody who once was like me, just a student. He is somebody who has worked in the industry. He's somebody who I'm like, man, this guy, he knows who I am. You know, he knows kind of my skill set. He knows my capabilities. And he's somebody, I guess, that his style has always been so unique and different, that it's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm sure this guy is he's gonna do something with his art. You know, that's just gonna happen. He's just got such a unique style. There's like nothing like it out there. And but when he said that, it changed. Now, my wife loves me, right? But she's not in the art industry. She doesn't do that for a living. So even though I knew she loved me, I was like, yeah, well, you're looking at it from a different perspective or something. It was so easy for me to be dismissive, which is not fair. It's not fair to my wife. Oh, I did it again. This crankshaft is always on the other side. I did it again. I just want it to be on this side, but the actual teeth of this should be on the other side of the frame. Sorry, I learned that yesterday, and because I'm talking and I haven't had to recall that information, it escaped me there. But I caught it, so that's good. That does mean it's in my brain, and catching it like that is a good thing. So, but when it's somebody who both you trust and they know the ins and outs of what you're going through, they become like a mentor in your story. And they're there to help you, but they're also like a threshold guardian. They're not going to let you get off so easy and say you don't have work to do. They're going to tell you, look, you're going to have to do the work, I'm not here to pave the way for you. I'm here to tell you you got what it takes. So start working on your chops, man. And so here we are. And what I'm doing with Graphic Novel Pro is Jake Parker doesn't know me, but I know Jake Parker, right? That's how I feel. And this is true. Like, I've been in ministry before, right? And when you're in ministry, you are you're getting with people one-on-one, but then you're also addressing and preaching groups of sometimes hundreds, sometimes even thousands of people. And so when you're talking with thousands of people, or even if you're like in a school, I have a school, the school that I teach, we have hundreds and hundreds of students. I think there's like almost 1,000 students at our school. My particular portion of the school has around 650 students. Okay, well, my students know me a lot faster than I know them because I'm doing the majority of the talking. Right? I'm kind of in front of everybody. So when I'm in a room, I have to memorize 28 people. When those 28 people are in a room, they are thinking and looking at me and listening to what I say. So they are getting way more information about me, who I am, what I'm teaching, those kind of things. I'm not getting that same amount of information about each one of them. And the unique thing that happens in those scenarios where you're kind of up front and talking is everybody feels like they know you. And sometimes they expect you to know them that same way, which is not, it's not accurate, but it is something that happens. People just assume that because they know you, you should know them. So what I'm saying is I know Jake Parker, but he doesn't know me. And what I mean by that is the first thing, I don't have it back there on my bookshelf. The Flight Anthology. There was a comic in there. It was Robot and Sparrow, and I'm almost 100% sure that was Jake Parker. I'm gonna Robot and Sparrow. Let me make sure. Yep, that's Jake Parker. Okay. I can't tell you how much that little story moved me, and it made me remember his name. I was like, wow. So I've known him for years. Like, I've known his artwork at least, and I've known a little bit of his heart and the way that he thinks, because that story, when a person tells a story, they're giving you a part of their heart, something that resonates with them. And so you actually get to know them a little bit better, right? So I've never shared my story with Jake. He has no idea who I am, but I look at his story and I'm like, okay, dude, I know a little bit about this guy. So then I've kind of followed him. I'm not huge on social media. I'm kind of outdone with it, just tired of it. And have been for a long time. So I don't participate the way most people do. I've kept my YouTube channel because I know that there are people that get value out of the tutorials and the things that I put out there. And so, plus it's a creative outlet for me, and I need creative outlets. I just don't do well when I'm not producing creative content of some sort. But like Instagram, I quit that so long ago. Facebook, I quit that so long ago. I just recently reopened an Instagram account simply because I'm going through Graphic Novel Pro, and I know that so many artists in the industry have an Instagram account. But I loathe it. I could not loathe it more. I literally deny myself to get on that platform. And Facebook is the same way. I cannot stand it. There's so many things about it that are just bad, from the way that buying ads, that I used to do that to help my business, and I don't think I ever got a single customer because of an AdSense. And I'm not even sure that I could verify that my ads were ever distributed to the people that there was no way for me to ever verify anything. I have no faith that they do anything they say that they do when you give them money. So it's just everything about the companies makes me feel like cringe. So I just don't deal with them. And I'm doing it now simply to get through Graphic Novel Pro, and I may end up deleting it when I'm done. I don't know. And maybe before I'm done. But at any rate, I was sharing all that for some reason. At any rate, I was saying that I feel like I know Jake Parker, because I followed some of the things when I was on social media. I know that he has, like, I've purchased a couple of books from his store. I'm part of the newsletter. But then when he said that he's opening up this graphic novel pro, I was just like, what in the world? I'm going to be able to learn from this guy that I know has been doing great work in the industry, has experience, has a heart to teach, and just knowing that that's available as a resource, and knowing my own mentality, how I have to trust somebody. They have to be somebody in the industry. They have to be somebody that's willing to teach me, and I feel like they want me to succeed, and all these other things. There it is, right there. It was presented to me this year. Like, you've got it. And what's crazy is it's not going to be easy, because I'm getting my art teaching license right now, so I'm already taking college level credits, 2 classes. Each class is 3 hours a week plus homework, and the homework is literally a full day and a half worth of work. At least it was in the first semester. It could be more now. So I have a wife. I've got a kid. She's a volleyball player. We've got tournaments to go to. It's going to be one crazy set of 3 months. So I'm doing this in the mornings when it's still quiet and I can get the time. That's why I choose this time to do it. I don't want to do it at the end of the day when I'm exhausted and I don't have anything left. But I try to get up and read and pray first before I do this, because that is even more important. As important as this is, and as much as I want to make this happen, more important than all of that is staying connected to God. So that comes first in my day, and then this. Although I will say, by the end of the week and this schedule, it was a tough one this morning to get up and get going. So I'm dragging a little bit, but here's Caden on a bike, and that's pretty much all the time I have for today. I'm pretty happy with this. I don't know if I'll revisit it and come back and push any more details. I think I've learned some of the things that I was really hoping to learn about the spacing. I was reminded again about the gears being on the other side of the frame. Okay, they always happen on the right side of the frame. I was reminded, or realized, that this portion will go towards the back of the ellipse, not the center. That's really good to know, and that will probably also happen, obviously, on the front fork. Maybe not to the same extreme because the peg is a little bit shorter. I don't know. And then the foot in relationship to the wheels and where it should be placed. So, using photo reference, but creating my character off of that photo reference. Very, very cool. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed that one as much as I did. And as